Hi everybody, it's Verity here, back again from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. I'm an independent Stampin Up demonstrator based in the UK, and I'm going to share with you two cards that I've made with these two stamped die bundles. So this one is Forever Blossoms. I'm going to be using this large cherry blossom image from this set and going to be cutting that out with the coordinating die set. So that's the first one, and then this one is one of my favourite sets. It's got some really great sentiments inside, called So Sentimental. And this goes with my absolutely love these dies, and you'll see me use those a lot on my cards. I've used them several times already this week, so they're really versatile, not just with the coordinating stamp set but for many others as well. So those are the sets we're going to use, and these are the two sample cards I've made. The DSP is the Parisian Blooms or Blossoms DSP, which is actually retiring out of the catalogue, but I'm going to use it all up. So these are the cards that I've used with we've got some vellum on there as well. So I'm going to make them very similar, swap out the colours around a little bit, and the DSP pieces I'm using are actually the reverse of these two patterns. So the Stampin' Up DSP is double-sided, and this one in particular actually has some foiling on it as well, so you can see the champagne foil on that particular piece. Okay, so that's what we're going to make today. So both cards use Whisper White card bases. The background colour of the DSP is Whisper White. So I've cut down a sheet of A4 down the middle at 4 1/8 of an inch. Well, I say down the middle, it's not quite the middle. 4 1/8 of an inch, and then you need to just take a slither off the other side as well. And then they are scored at 5 7/8 of an inch. You score them nicely, and then you've got two card bases ready to go. So the opposite numbers of the papers look like this. So that's the first one, which is so the main colour on the original samples was petal pink, and these alternate sides have pool party in the background. So this has got the cherry blossoms printed in a sort of tone on tone effect, and then we've got these ones with the foil in the centres. Really nice. So we can get those stuck down in a moment, and I've already cut the vellum and the small Whisper White card panels. Okay, so what did I make these? So the vellum is 3 by 4.5 inches, and the Whisper White I've cut to 2.5 by 4 inches. Okay, so they're going to go on like so, and then we've got some more of the die cut blossoms, and we'll stamp the other sentiment when we need it. Okay, so very simple to put together. We'll start well by adhering the DSP, and we're going to make this super quick by doing things in tandem. Okay, so I'm just going to use some snail adhesive tape runner. You could use tear and tape, you could use multi-purpose glue, but with DSP you just need to be a little bit sparing. You don't want the moisture of the glue to warp your cardstock. not cardstock, DSP. Stampin' Up DSP is quite thick. It's good quality, but as I say, too much wet glue will still warp it slightly. So we're going to lay those down. It is a very small gap around the edge. As I line up the bottom edge, and the rest should follow suit. Press that down. The next one. Of course, if you've got directional paper, do make sure it's the right way up. These two doesn't really matter unless you have a particular preference for how the pattern lays across the cards. So that's those done. Put those to one side for a sec, and then these pieces. So I'm going to apply the adhesive to the back of the Whisper White panels. Again, just using snail. Using plenty. Make sure we get that stuck down. And then again, lining this up so that those three sides are in place. Because we're using snail and vellum, actually if you don't press it down too much, you have got a little bit of an escape to peel that back up. That's that one. And there's that one. With the other elements on the card, if you're slightly off, it probably won't show that much. So these are going to go on to the card with, you guessed it, dimensionals, because I love dimensionals. Just love them. So one in each corner and in the middle, so that we don't get any sagging. Okay, and then we're going to get those onto our card fronts. Of course, the beauty of putting the white panel on the front means that sticking down the vellum isn't so tricky. It is very difficult to stick down vellum without glue showing excessively. Glue dots are quite good, don't show quite as much, and you can hide them under other embellishments too if you felt they were showing too much. So, and I could have just as easily used snail behind that as well, but you know, me and dimensionals, you know, we've got this thing, we can't have a card without dimensional somewhere. Okay, so those are our card bases, really easy. So just really simple incremental layering, taking it down by equal portions on each side to make those layers. And then the vellum, I think, just adds a little something, because it sort of diffuses the pattern, so it's there but not there, so you still get the pattern coming through, but it's just that ever so much softer. Really great if you've got a really busy or bright paper as well. You could make this a little wider, this border, and it would really mute down any of those strong colours if that isn't your thing, and you want to be able to use up some other DSPs. So, as I say, I'd already die cut two of these cherry blossoms, and I was playing about with what colours and stuff, and I felt like the blue pool party on this card was almost a bit too matchy, so I opted, I think I'm going to go with having the petal pink one on there and the pool party one on there, so they contrast the background pieces. And then by the same token, I'm going to use the opposite ink colour for the sentiment. So that one, I can't thank you enough, beautiful. Already been die cut with one of the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And then this one, I'm just going to quickly show you stamping out that sentiment. So if anybody's watching today who's never done any stamping before, so I'm using one of our classic stamp pads. So the cardstocks, DSPs, the inks all coordinate perfectly colour wise, which is fantastic. You aren't rummaging through your stash to find something that goes together. It will go together because they've been formulated to do that. Stamp pads open a bit like a compact mirror, and when they're open fully you can then slide them together. Okay, so that's how you open those ink pads. And then this stamp set is a cling stamp set. What that means is we have red rubber on a grey foam, which sticks to these acrylic blocks. Okay, so that foam provides a cushioning which helps you get a really nice crisp image. New stampers think you have to press really hard onto an ink pad. Well, that's just gonna ruin your ink pad. You only need the lightest of touches, no pressure at all in fact, and just, I call it cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, light tapping across the ink pad to make sure that the ink is on there, so you can see that glistening hopefully on in the light. And then we're going to just apply that to the card, nice and flat, no rocking or anything, just pressing down gently but firmly, just holding that for a few seconds to transfer the ink, and you get a lovely stamped image. Okay, we're going to close the ink pad, pull it open all the way, don't try and bend it before you get all the way, otherwise the hinges will break. Flip it over and snap it shut, and that's ready to go for next time. We clean your stamps. My scrub is off to the side. I shall clean that once I have finished die cutting and putting these cards together for you guys. So one of the lovely scalloped stitched rectangles is going to be used to cut the sentiment. So just lining that up so I've got an even gap between the yaw and the edge of the die, and underneath blessing, and the likewise either side of the F and the P of friendship. And I'm just using, let's not move it whilst we're doing that, line that back up, and then I'm just using a little bit of washi tape that's had some of the tack removed, just to hold that in place while I just pass that through my die cut machine, which is just off screen to my right. So I'm just going to roll that through. Sometimes you hear an awful cracking noise when you run dies through a machine, but that is completely normal. It's just the sound of the pressure cutting through. Come on. And hopefully when the camera decides it's going to focus, is it going to focus? No. But you can see that stitching and the scalloped edge there. So this is the layout we've got. right now. Now on my original sample, the cherry blossom I actually stuck down flat and then added the sentiment afterwards. Now I think I'm going to change that and have the blossoms raised with a flat sentiment so I can tuck the sentiment underneath a bit, so I'm not covering up so much of the focal element there. So that's what I think I'm going to do with that. Let's see how that pans out. Okay, right, so sentiments to one side for us. Well, okay, let's do one at a time for this bit. So what I want to do is just make sure that I'm going to position this where I can actually place a sentiment without it then hanging off the edge of the card. So I'm just going to think about where I want this. So that looks like it's about right. Okay. If you were planning a card and you weren't yet sure where you were going to put something, you could take a photograph of it. I'm just going to put a pencil mark there just for a sec. On your phone or something, and then that means that you've got a reference point. So just a bit of snail on there, and then this panel is already raised up on dimensional, so I don't really want to have extra dimensionals on anything that's going to hang over here. I'm just going to put dimensionals behind the bits that are definitely going to stick to this white panel. So I'm going to stick a couple here and behind this flower, and behind here. And actually I'm going to use the mini dimensionals. So the dimensionals actually come in two sizes, so that's the size of a regular dimensional, and then those are the minis. Okay, so what, about a third of the size? So perfect for something like this where we've got some details that we want to stick down. So I was thinking about behind here. Okay, so let's do that leaf. So just keeping them all over to that sort of left hand side. It will be plenty to hold it in place. These backs possibly come up even easier than the big ones. And so now that sentiment's in place, we've got all the time in the world to decide how we want this to go. Just trying to keep an eye on that leaf, make sure it doesn't wander off the card entirely, otherwise it won't fit into the envelope. So there we go, that's that secured. Okay, lovely. Okay, let's finish off this one. So similar thing, I'm going to get that something like where I want it. Sort of want the sentiment to almost rest slightly in that little nook. Sometimes it's easier said than done, so maybe with this one it will be better if I have this one over the top. What do we think? Or can we get away with it? Is it still legible? I'm not sure it is. Okay, maybe we stick to the original plan on this one then. Okay, just going to use a bit of wet glue. Again, I'm just going to keep it mostly to this side. Just keep it as close to the left of the card as possible, so I've got as much room as I can. Just press that in place. Now, don't waste all these edge bits just because it's looks a bit peculiar. It's still good adhesive. So let's take a couple of pieces of that edge strip. Put that across the middle. It's all the same stuff. There we go. Okay, so those are those two. Should we add a bit some bling? Should we just add some just for the some added interest? I didn't get them out, so just bear with. And let's use the champagne, as we've got the champagne foiling. So I just got a pick, which I'm just going to. I think we'll just add them. Remember, you want your odd numbers. They always look really great in that visual triangle. Just a case of there or there. I think it might look nice there. And I didn't add them to the originals, let's add them to the originals. Because, you know, a bit of bling, always nice. So rhinestones also come in as clear, and the clear ones, you could probably do it with these ones as well actually, to be fair. You can use the alcohol markers, the stamping blends, and you can actually colour the rhinestones to be whatever colour you like. Okay, done. What do you think? So that's probably not even a full sheet of 12 by 12 in terms of the whole area. I mean, it's two separate pieces in terms of the design. So those were the originals, and then I've just come in and done these two with you. Okay, really nice, simple, and say if you get everything's cut and prepared and take that time, you can produce multiple cards very, very quickly. I hope you've enjoyed that, and you're inspired to maybe purchase some of those items. The link to the blog post with all the extra photos and everything will be linked in the description below. I really appreciate if you could like and subscribe, and even tap the notification bell for so that you are made aware next time I upload a video. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you all again soon. Have a great day. Bye.